Right, so I was just getting done posting the link to this stream on social media. Making some last minute adjustments here. Hopefully I won't be too loud this time. Hopefully it's not too laggy. I find it funny. So, well, first of all, hello everybody. Blood Moon Bobby here, soon to be joined by Gaby in a second. I'm waiting for her to come home. So, yeah. So we're here to discuss Rocko's Modern Life Static Cling. I know that I had this stream set up earlier this week. I believe it was on Monday, but then, um, without I don't want to get into too many details. A bunch of drama happened, and so I couldn't really do it then. And I was just rethinking what I was gonna do. But here I am now. Um, about to discuss the movie and waiting for Gaby to come on over. So, so hopefully people are starting to come by. If you're currently watching this, please feel free to leave your thoughts on Rocko's Modern Life Static Cling in the discussion. So, so basically, we're just going to be talking about what we liked about the movie, the characters, the satire, and our thoughts on Rocko prior to seeing Static Cling. We'll talk about this more in a second because I want Gaby to come on here, but I will say Rocko is actually, it's not a show that actually either me or Gaby, I guess it's kind of like Zim in a way, that me or Gaby really grew up with. It was just kind of a show that, like, I saw ads. I remember I once had like a VHS tape of All Real Monsters, and it advertised for Nicktoons. There was, you might remember there was that TV ad where they had the Nickelodeon character walking and he slips on a banana peel and he becomes the Nicktoons logo and it goes Nicktoons, and I can't remember the rest of the song, but I remember specifically it advertised is All Real Monsters, Rugrats, Hey Arnold, and Rocko's Modern Life. So yeah, I really didn't know all that much about the show until like I started watching the show. I think I started. I'm not sure if I started watching after I heard the news that a Rocko's Modern Life movie was coming to or coming out. I heard about the announcement before they said that, oh, we're going to be moving the movie over to Netflix. So, yeah, once again, don't be shy. Just waiting on Gaby to let me know when she's ready to join in through voice. I will say I would have done the thing where I would have included both of us on screen, but we really didn't have the time to test, and I didn't want to turn this discussion into one of those really terrible ones. Because I know in the past there have been a couple discussions that were so bad it just looked like a slideshow, so I didn't want to take the risk, so we're just going to do the thing where Gaby comes on through voice. But you'll get to hear her, so that's the really good thing. And once again, I am streaming this using my upgraded PC. Once again, definitely runs much better than when I stream on my laptop. It's funny, before I started, when I had the live intro, where it says, welcome to the stream, and the live chat will start soon. OBS was telling me it was using up to 20% of the CPU, but after I came on, with my face and the live chat in the background, now the CPU is sitting at 5%. It occasionally jumps back to something really high, like 7 or 10%, but it's mainly sitting at the 4 to 6% line. So I don't know, that's kind of weird. So yeah. Trying to think of what else to say before I can begin, because I want to save I want to save the part where I talk about the Rocko episodes I've seen for when Gaby gets here. I'm very curious to hear what she says, because she told me, I think she said she's never seen an episode of Rocko's Modern Life until Static Cling comes out, and she still really liked it. So I'm guessing that for somebody who's never seen the show, oh, they were able to pick up on it and that sort of thing. So, and I will say I did watch several Rocko episodes to prepare myself for Static Cling because I thought they were either going to be related or linked to Static Cling in some way, and I still feel technically I could definitely get by without having seen those episodes. It's kind of like episodes like I Have No Son. I also saw Closet Clown and what was the other one? The one where they go see Filbert in the future. I think that was why you saw, the Static Link start off where Rocko and his friends are up in space, because that particular episode, let me see. I have it in iTunes. I'll see if I could find the actual name of the episode. It was, yeah, Future Schlock. Yeah, because that episode ends with Filbert's kids driving this conglomerate rocket, and it crashes into Rocko's house, and it goes up into space. So I kind of think maybe that's where your Static Cling picks up from when Rocko ended. Because Future Schlock, at least according to iTunes, I don't think it was like the very last episode of Rocko to air, but it was one of the last. So if my voice sounds kind of shaky, I'm still getting over a bit of anxiety, but I really wanted to come back before the week ended. So also, I will say I'm definitely really glad that we've been able to do all these reviews lately, like how we checked out every episode of Infinity Train, even though the first stream of that was really bad. I'm really sorry about that. And also, we did one for Invader Zim Enter the Florpus, which still makes that peace song still makes us laugh. And I think we have something to say about something that's coming up that's related to Invader Zim, but me and Gabby will talk about that I think we'll save that for the end of this stream, just so that we don't go off on a tangent and that sort of thing. But as I was saying, I'm really glad that we've been able to do a lot more movie and TV reviews lately, because I know I always found it really weird how we always did trailer reactions, because we really only do trailer reactions to movies that we have, at least a bit of interest in and that sort of thing. So I'm definitely really glad that we've done trailer reactions for Infinity Train, Rocko, and Zim, and now we're actually getting to review. It's not just the case where we're like, oh, we heard that Enter the Florpus was good, or oh, we heard that Static Cling was good. So yeah, I'm definitely glad that because we've seen those, we're able to give a really legit opinion. Yes, I will say, I am going to the Disney D23 Expo with my sis on Sunday. Since, unfortunately, I would have loved to have gone. I couldn't go today because I had work, and then tomorrow, I really wanted to go on Saturday, but by the time I found out that there was a chance that I could go, the Saturday tickets sold out. So, but yeah, I'm definitely really jelly of all the people who are out there at D23. So yeah, I hope you're all having fun out there. Yeah, I was actually speaking to, you might remember Jeffrey from when we discussed the Star vs. the Forces of Evil finale, and he's there. He came across several Gravity Falls cosplayers, a few Star cosplayers. He's disappointed, though, that they didn't really have much in the way of Star merch at the event. As for the announcements of D23, I'm mainly interested in the Disney Plus stuff. I'll be covering them separately. I'm not going to be talking about them at the convention itself since I'll be going on the last day, mainly just to see what it's like. And also, Adam MacArthur is there, and I'm currently working on a list of questions with my sis and Gabby. Or we're also hoping to get Steven involved. So, yeah. I know last time when I interviewed him, I asked my Twitter followers for ideas. This time, I didn't want to do it because I didn't want to do a thing where just in case there was that possibility that we wouldn't be able to meet with Adam, I didn't want to disappoint you all. Yeah, so yeah, mainly just hanging out here and hopefully we'll get to Rocko soon enough. Yeah, I am thinking of doing a trailer reaction for the Lady and the Tramp. Can you even? I mean, I'm sure I'm. It's weird. Like with the Lion King remake, it's like, it's debatable if you could really call it a Disney live action remake. At least with Lady and the Tramp, there's in the animated version at least, there's human characters, like Jim Deere, Darling, and the Italian cooks. So it's just like at least there's human characters. So, but then again, the main focus, Lady and the Tramp, the movie itself, mainly focused on um, the dog characters themselves. Oh, so it's just like I don't know about that. I'm not sure if that really lends its way to live action, unless they're doing like some kind of like Santa Paws kind of thing. I mean, I know Lady and Tramp. It's supposed to be more laid back and sort of more, I guess you could say. I'm gonna sound pretentious, but like kind of ritzy, I guess you could say, for lack of a better word. But it's just like, I don't know about that. I mean, it is coming to Disney Plus, but it's just like, really Disney. Yeah, I mean, as I've said before, the only Disney live action remake I'm honestly really, really looking forward to is Hunchback of Notre Dame. Once again, just because even just the mere thought of imagining, just the epicness of Hunchback, the shots, the themes of that movie, that choir and the song, just it just really lends itself to live action. And Gabby says that she still needs a bit of time, which is okay. That's cool. Yeah, but I know since we've mainly been doing reviews, I will say it's not that I'm not gonna do news stories anymore. I still have a lot of plans, especially with D23 this weekend. There's definitely going to be room for a lot of news stories, especially in the realm of Disney Plus. Especially since I know in the last Disney Plus video I did, I talked about that CNET story where they had a list of movies that they've heard is coming to the service, and I know there's been additional details revealed about the service, like I think there's like availability in places like Canada and New Zealand. Some other details that aren't coming to mind, but I know that Disney is really pushing it out, at least come this November. So definitely going to give this a chance. And yeah, and oh my god, and there's also that news story about Viacom CBS, and now they're basically getting back together because the two companies want to get into streaming more. And yeah, I'll save my thoughts on that for for when I do a pre-recorded video. Just thought I'd get that out there, since I know a lot of time when I stream, I get some people asking me about Disney Plus and how I feel about that sort of thing. I know in the last chat, I briefly gave my latest thoughts on Butch Hartman's Oaxis service, which, again, and because I basically took, I mean, I was active on social media this week, but I wasn't really making videos because I was dealing with a lot of anxiety. But I know I said in the Infinity Train video, basically, I really want to do another All-Access video, but I want to get as many details as I can for that video, because I know there's, some developments, and, they've been posting about it. There's that sort of website redesign, and I'm not really sure if it's convincing people and that sort of thing. I mean, I don't want to go off on an All-Access rant like I did in the last stream, but I'll save that for another time. And, speaking of Butch, once again, it's not that, I hate him or anything. It's just that the way he's been managing Wax, especially on the PR side, has been really vexing. Not just because, people were showing footage of him being, super condescending and that sort of stuff, but also just the way he's been sharing information very inconsistently. It makes it a really tough topic to research. So... But I do like I do like, especially his most popular shows when he was at Nickelodeon. I'm a sort of casual fan of the Fairly Odd Parents. I watch an episode every now and then. Not the hugest fan, but I think it's okay. The one show I really like from him is Danny Phantom. I've talked about that quite a bit before. I tried to watch one episode of Tough Puppy, and yeah, when you have the theme song make a big deal about the main character and how he likes to chew on his butt, it's just no thanks. And then Bunsen is a beast, once again, no thanks. So, yeah. So I'm waiting on Gabby. And sweat is dripping in my eye. It's still really hot here in SoCal. Hope that wasn't overly surprising for people who are going to D23. Yeah. And I haven't really... I gotta talk about this more with Gabby, but we are thinking, since we've got a couple conventions we're planning to go to coming up, like D23 and the Long Beach Comic Con. We also are, instead of doing, how whenever I do typical convention videos, it's the sort of thing where I'll interview a few cosplayers, talk a bit about the convention and the merch we got. Going forward, I want to go in a sort of more vlog style direction, where it's it's where I'm getting butterflies in my stomach, but where we film videos in a way where it's basically sort of tell the story of where we go from point A to point B in a convention. Having a tough time describing it. And once again, for people joining us, I apologize on Gabby's behalf. I will still give, obviously I still want to wait for her. I know that, when I actually started, she said that she had just gotten home. And she did know we've talked about, streaming, at this time today, so... Yep. Just waiting on her. And we really have to get much better at setting schedules and that sort of thing. So, hoping that more people will be able to stop by. Especially when me and Gabby do start discussing Rocko. I think, oh hey, there's a new trailer for that DreamWorks movie, Abominable. If I could talk today, but guess I got my work cut out for me in terms of trailer reactions, which is definitely really nice. Lots of things coming out of D23. I've mainly heard about the Marvel announcements, which on the Marvel side, it's not that I hate Marvel or anything like that. It's just that I don't follow that sort of side of Disney too closely. So, because I heard they were announcing things like IGN is saying, Obi-Wan Kenobi Disney Plus series confirmed. And, well, that's Star Wars, but I think you all get the point. And what was that other one? I'm just reporting on it just to, I guess, give my sort of superficial thoughts. Oh yeah, I did see there was a announcement. Hello there, Javi. Sony drama was bad. I don't have too much to say about the whole Spider-Man getting out of the MCU and that sort of thing, because I honestly haven't seen. It's kind of bad though, because I do want to check out like Spider-Man: Homecoming and Spider-Man: Far From Home, but I don't really have too much to say on that. And I certainly don't want to take the side of, oh, just because I've seen like so many Spider-Man movies, like Spider-Man 1, 3, and Into the Spider-Verse. I don't want to take the side of like, oh, Sony's good just for that, because I feel like I don't really have a good enough understanding to give my sort of thoughts. But Hobby, how are you? Have you seen Rocko's Modern Life Static Cling? Yeah, so, yep, people are starting to show up, and I'm feeling really good. Yeah. Yeah, I don't really, I don't want to like give away all the details of Static Cling. I did say that we're gonna be talking about spoilers, and all throughout this discussion, me and me and Gabby, and well, really anybody for that matter, we don't shy away from spoilers whenever we do these discussions. So, Hobby said no, only the show when it was airing on Nicktoons back in the 2000s. So, oh boy, so once again, Hobby, just keep in mind we are going to be talking about spoilers when Gabby does show up. So, yeah, so if you don't mind, feel free to stay. And although it is really cool that you said that you watched the show back when it was airing on Nicktoons. I'm assuming you mean the Nicktoons channel that used to be called Nicktoons Network. Yeah. Yeah, I can't even discuss the show. Oh, to be honest, like I really want to like get Gabby's thoughts because like I want to hear if she's at least heard of the series back when she was a kid. Because like I said, I knew of Rocko because of that All Real Monsters VHS tape. I think I have like another videotape from another Nickelodeon show. I mean, this is going like way back. This is going back to when the Rugrats movie was coming out, and this was when you turned on, like, put in a Nickelodeon VHS tape. It had that really awesome Nicktoons melody with the barbershop singers. Where they were like, yeah. So Nick Nickelodeon, like those days. Like if you recognize that jingle, that's how far we're going back. And certainly because, well, a big part of it was because Rocko. It wasn't one of the first three Nicktoons. I think it was the fourth Nicktoon to come out after. Like it didn't debut alongside Rugrats, Ren and Stimpy, and Doug. So, Hobby, you're asking me what's my opinion on Disney Plus? Will I use it or not? Honestly, I don't think I'm really gonna have a choice. At least not as of right now. Not that like I think Disney Plus is gonna be terrible or anything, but it's just like I'm a Disney fan. Of course, I'm gonna use the service. And even though I've seen a lot of Disney movies from ever since I was a little kid being freaked out over Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, I haven't seen every single one. Like I've never seen Fantasia, for instance, and I would like to see maybe Disney bring movies like Saludos Amigos and Three Caballeros, because I never got to watch those as a kid. So, but I'm definitely interested in using the Disney Plus service myself. The the issue I have with Disney Plus is more just this idea that a lot of movie studios are now going into this idea of, oh, we want a piece of the pie, and that's why you're seeing Warner's coming out with HBO Max. This is why Viacom and CBS got back together. This is why Universal is reportedly launching their own service. I mean, yeah, even going as far as to seeing, Butch Hartman launching his own. So, eh. So I think the thing of what I'm saying is like Disney Plus itself, I'm looking forward to it. It's just the precedent that it sets just kind of makes me as well as many other people nervous about where exactly streaming is going. And I talked about this before in my streaming service videos, but especially if, let's say, because like Disney Plus, when that comes out, at least I know there was that Bloomberg report I talked about a while back, but let's just say in like the immediate future or like the first couple of years of Disney Plus, when that service comes out and you can't really watch Disney movies on like Netflix or Hulu, and if Disney Plus is successful, is Warner going to look at that and say, ooh, it worked for Disney, maybe we should consider? Because I know with HBO Max, they said that they were going to, that some shows like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is only going to be on HBO Max, so it does kind of have me worried. What happens if in the future, if you wanted to watch, let's say, like Warner Brothers, let's take Warner Brothers movies like Blade Runner 2049 or Crazy Rich Asians. Like, what happens if in the future the only way you can stream those movies is through HBO Max? And I would say, oh, what if you just buy a movie from iTunes? But I think a lot of people are sick of the whole having to pay for every single movie and that sort of thing. Hobby asked which Nickelodeon 90s show you grew up the most, not counting SpongeBob. I'd say probably Rugrats and Rocko I grew up with the most. I know that growing up I watched a few episodes of Rugrats, even though it's funny, my mom didn't want me watching Rugrats as a kid because she hated the way the babies talked. What are some other shows? I watched a lot of like Little Bear, Oswald, the Nick Jr. shows. I also saw a bit of Fairly Odd Parents. I watched a bit of Danny Phantom. I watched every episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Used to watch that show with my dad and sis a lot. I mean, that was easily my favorite Nicktoon as a kid. But yeah, oh well, you were talking about '90s shows, so it would mainly be shows like, God, I think in terms of '90s shows, I was mainly into the like the Nick Jr. shows. Like I do like shows like Rugrats, for example, but I think a lot of the Nicktoons that I grew up with were like the early 2000s Nicktoons. And sorry to say, but I actually didn't really grow up with SpongeBob. And I know some people kind of get at me when I say I'm not really a SpongeBob fan, but yeah, I mean that's how it was. I wasn't even really a SpongeBob fan when I was a little kid. I remember watching a bit of it in kindergarten, and I just thought it was really over the top. And to SpongeBob's credit, there are some episodes that I do like. Like a perfect example is the Band Geeks episode. I thought was really funny. I also saw the one where I think it was the one where SpongeBob met Sandy for the first time, and SpongeBob is just like drying up being in Sandy's home, and I thought that was also pretty good. But I kind of feel SpongeBob is a little like over the top for my taste. So, but yeah. But if you grew up with SpongeBob, you yourself, hobby, and really all my audience, that's I'm definitely cool with that. I know my friend Steven, like he was shocked when I told him I wasn't really a SpongeBob fan. But yeah, I will say definitely rest in peace, Steven Hillenburg. I still really want sweet. I know the chance of this is slim, but I kind of hope they play a sweet victory at like next year's Super Bowl. It's like the demand was there. I mean, I know. I think it was Nico Colalio. Don't quote me on this. I think he said something like the NFL didn't put Sweet Victory in because they're not really into the animation business. But I'm just like miracles can happen. And it's funny enough, Steven Hillenburg actually worked on quite a few episodes of Rocko's Modern Life. Did you know that, Javi? You can see his credit in several Rocko episodes. And from what I've heard, Pie Guy Rule said the thing is, after Rocko ended, I think he said that like Hillenburg like took a lot of the Rocko team over to SpongeBob, and that's why early SpongeBob episodes at least seem pretty similar to Rocko. But I'll get into my thoughts when Gaby comes. I'll get into my thoughts on why I prefer Rocko over something like SpongeBob, which again, SpongeBob fans, and I totally respect you all. I have friends that are SpongeBob fans themselves, and I do like a couple of the episodes, but I'm talking about my personal taste here, as well as Gaby's. So. Hobby said Phineas and Ferb creators used to work on Rocko. Really? I didn't know that. That's really cool. Yeah. And ignore the B, of course. And yeah, I know that Phineas and Ferb movie is also coming to Disney Plus, and I'm interested in seeing it. I'm not like huge into Phineas and Ferb myself, but I do like I like the show in a sort of like casual sense. Like I've seen a few episodes. I remember seeing ones, especially like the episode where Phineas and Ferb, they go to that Full Metal Jacket style camp where they have like all the fun wiped out of their memories or that sort of thing. I thought that episode was really funny. Especially that toothbrush scene. Trying to think what else. And I've also seen a couple episodes of Milo Murphy's Law. I really need to get around to seeing both the Kim Possible movie and I know people really hate the Kim Possible movie, but I'm still interested in reviewing it. I know Gaby said that she's too scared to see it, but I'm just, I'm the kind of person that doesn't like to just go by hearsay and say, oh, I heard the Kim Possible movie sucked. I wouldn't be surprised. The trailers didn't look very good, but I want to, give my own take on it. Maybe because I always like to especially point out things that maybe people don't always point out. And I also really like giving out like my personal opinions. Like I know for a perfect example is like the Beauty and the Beast, the live action remake. I know there's lots of people that hate that remake, and I was like, it wasn't too bad. The tone was really inconsistent at times, and the movie overall, it wasn't as memorable as the animated film by any stretch. But as a standalone movie, I thought it was fine. It was harmless. Yeah. And Hobby also said Milo Murphy's Law fans want season 3 sort of like Star vs. the Forces of Evil season 5. Is Milo Murphy's Law? It's not discontinued, right? Like, is it just? It's just on hiatus, right? Very curious to see. I mean, if I was a Milo fan, I'd also be in that boat of, we really want a season 3. I saw a tweet earlier where somebody was also like, hey, Disney television animation, we really want a season 3 of Phineas, not Phineas and for Milo Murphy's Law. Although I'm sure there's lots of people who really want Phineas and Ferb to come back. Yeah. Although, this is kind of turning into a Disney Plus discussion. What does give me some hope about Disney Plus and Disney as a whole is that they are bringing back shows. Like, I know the Proud Family is supposed to come to Disney Plus, so I think that there's still hope for something like a Star vs. the Forces of Evil season. I don't know about a season 5, but I could see them doing like a sequel series or maybe a TV movie, kind of like what Nickelodeon did with both Rocko and Zim. Hobby says, there's rumors the show might end soon. Disney hasn't announced a season 3. Makes me kind of nervous. Yeah. What is this? Monsters at Work with Tyler and Millie? I haven't. I've seen bits and pieces of Monsters University. So I'm not really sure what's going on. I'm looking at the Disney Plus, the Twitter page. I'm just like, what is this? Is this a TV series or? I don't know. The tweet itself just says, quote, graduated from MU and ready for the real world. Get a new look at Monsters at Work's Tyler and Millie coming to Disney Plus in 2020. I don't know. I mean, I like the first Monsters, Inc. I've seen that movie quite a few times, but I'm just like, not really my cup of tea. High School Musical, the musical series, Mandalorian. What's this about Kermit the Frog? Quote, coming exclusively to Disney Plus in 2020, the Muppets proudly present Muppets Now, a new short-form unscripted series. I'd love to tell you more, but Joe the Weasel is right behind me. Gulp. And that's coming from the official Kermit the Frog Twitter. It's the... Yeah, I don't know too much about that. I mean, I like the Muppets okay, but I'm not sure. Also, that movie, Noelle, Disney said starring Santa's sister. I believe it's the one with Anna Kendrick. I'd have to look into that one. It's also helicopter passing by. This... Mind you, oh my god, there's so many trailers. There's no way I could cover or them all. I'm mainly just gonna stick with the ones that I at least have like maybe a shred of interest in, like Lady and the Tramp, The World According to Jeff Goldblum. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, as I said before, I mainly know Jeff Goldblum from David Cronenberg's The Fly. I know he's probably more famously known for being in Jurassic Park and Independence Day, but I think The Fly was like the first Jeff Goldblum movie I watched from beginning to end. And I still get nightmares about that movie, by the way. You know, I sort of had one this morning, and it's just like, I, I actually woke up just before the nightmare was about to begin. I guess it's kind of like the whole dreams or movies scene from Inside Out, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I see in a lot of these Disney Plus promos, they're showing things like Jungle Book, and I think I saw Ant-Man and Alice in Wonderland. It doesn't necessarily mean, I don't think it necessarily means, oh yeah, you're gonna see those movies on day one. It may just be a thing where it's like, oh yeah, they'll be coming to the service, to Disney Plus at some point, you know. Yeah. I also heard that Disney, from what I heard, let me actually look this one up. I heard something about Die Hard getting a reboot, which I've never seen Die Hard. I know that my family has that movie recorded on tape, which I've never gotten to see. The only, yeah, I'm seeing here I'm I'm not really sure if it's like, confirmed or that sort of thing. The only thing I've seen from Die Hard is the Angry Video Game Nerd, his review of Die Hard with that really, let's just say, controversial intro screen, and then that really epic ending where, like, the nerd is covered in blood and the explosions are going off and he runs to the NES and he's like, "Yippee ki motherfucker!" And he throws it and it just goes boom. Yeah, that. Especially, I really like that music he uses at that end sequence. I don't like. Still trying to figure out where he got it from. I do hope more shows get added to Disney Plus. If that CNET list is true, and the last time I checked, it didn't include, like, I didn't see Star vs. the Force of Evil, or Gravity Falls, or Wander Over Yonder, or Amphibia. I hope that those shows come to Disney Plus one day. Especially since, Disney now has their own streaming service, so it's not like they would be giving a intellectual property over to another company, not like Netflix. So it's just like, why not do it, Disney? I I don't know. I mean, I guess there's the possibility maybe they'll just dump it on Hulu and use Hulu as a sort of dumping ground. But I think Hulu, at least going forward, and when Disney really gets their hands deep into Hulu may just become basically the adult stream the Disney streaming service for more of an adult audience. Like, it's kind of like the Touchstone Pictures of Disney streaming services, if you will. I don't really want to pressure Gabby, because if she needs time, even though we're nearly an hour into the stream, So, yeah, once again, if you're just joining us, feel free to give your thoughts on static cling. Hmm. I mean, if Gabby's like having dinner or something, then we could just hang out. It's definitely cool. So, yeah, I mean, not to go off on a tangent or anything, but if anybody's watching wanted to ask me about thoughts, I mean, I could maybe briefly like talk about like my thoughts on Rocko the series before we get started, or maybe even other topics that I cover, like you know Disney Plus or the shows that I've seen and that sort of thing. Just, I'm just like kind of snickering because I'm just like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to rewatch the stream and I'm gonna be saying that sort of thing like 150 times. I really try my best not to say things like and stutter, but it's just the kind of thing where I have to learn from, especially with streaming. I can't go off a script when I'm doing live streaming. Not that I would want to go script driven for my videos because I'm worried if I do that. One, I think I would sound really robotic, and also I would be obsessing over things like getting grammar down, and also sometimes when I'm recording videos, sometimes like my take on something, like additional thoughts on things, just sort of like pop in my mind as I'm recording, and I'm like, oh, I should say this on screen. So if I were to go script driven, then I would have to like add another paragraph and freak out over that kind of stuff. So Yeah, I sent her a message because I don't want to do the thing where we're gonna have to rush through all of our talking points on static cling. So I'm just making sure. YouTube on my iPad is recommending my own stream. Like, am I really gonna go there? Okay. Well, Gabby's ready, so let's see if we could do this pretty quick. Okay. Gabby, are you
Yep.
there?
Yeah.
All right. So you ready to talk about Rocko?
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Yeah, I've been floating in space waiting for a
Oh
while.
shoot.
Yep.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
Nah,
I
don't
got
worry about
lost
it.
in space myself.
Mhm.
Finally found that random area we were supposed to meet at.
Mhm. Yeah. I was waiting on you to tell me to talk about that movie that what was it? Beaver, Badger.
I'm a wallaby.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, Rocco. It was a movie. Yeah. So yeah, because I've been playing up on social media saying, hey, we're stuck in space, and this
Oh my gosh.
Badger or whatever or showed us this movie called Rocko's Modern Life Cycling. Yeah,
Oh my
because
gosh.
for people who've never seen the show, they always like the people around Rocko. They always get his species wrong. He's a
Yes.
wallaby, but people are like, even in the movie, didn't they like a couple characters like confused what he is, right?
Yes. He's like, I think one of them called him, or I'm not sure if it was a rodent or something of the sort.
Yeah, I
But
see.
yeah, he's like, I'm a wallaby.
Oh yeah, when he was getting interviewed on the TV news, right? Yeah.
Exactly, yes.
So yeah, talking about Staticling right now. I actually want to like really go back and talk about our thoughts on like the Rocko's Modern Life, the original TV series, because you said you haven't even seen a single episode, right?
Um, nope. Not a single full episode. I've seen clips after I saw the movie, and yeah, that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, why is my mic so? Oh, all right, there we go. That's better. A little bit less echoey. Oh, all right.
Okay. So,
But yeah.
but yeah, because I was telling the audience, and I think I was talking to Javi earlier,
Uh-huh.
and he was saying he saw the show back when it was airing on Nicktoons. And me personally, I don't know if I ever told you this, but the only way I knew of Rocko before I started watching the show was on like old Nickelodeon VHS episodes. Oh yeah, there's that. Oh yeah, he was asking me what '90s Nicktoons I grew up with. Another one was Cat Dog, right?
Oh, I
And
watched Cat Dog.
yeah, and
Yeah.
on VHS tapes of shows like Cat Dog, I definitely remember Real Monsters had this. They had this advertisement that was specifically talking about, you know, um, for Nicktoons, and they were Rugrats, Hey Arnold, Real Monsters, and Rocko.
Oh,
But
wow.
yeah, I mean, I saw Rugrats and Real Monsters when I was a kid. Didn't really get around to seeing Hey Arnold or Rocko until I don't actually think I started watching the show until basically when we started hearing rumblings that a Rocko TV movie was coming out.
Oh, what?
This was when we heard about Staticling. This was before we found out that it was coming to Netflix.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but I've seen several episodes of the show. I've seen quite a few, mainly just to get ready for Staticling, because I feel like Staticling does have it's sort some like connections into the past episodes of Rocko's Modern Life. Probably one of the more specific ones is in one of the last episodes of Rocko's Modern Life called Future Schlock. They go to the future. Both Rocko and Hef go to the future, and they meet a aging Filbert, and they decide to go back to present day.
Uh-huh.
But the way it happens is that Filbert's kids they get on the Conglomero rocket and they crash into Rocko's house as they go into space, and I think that's why we see the house floating in space. Because when I started covering Static Cling, I first thought, oh, it's just a random sort of thing. It's like when Doctor Evil was floating in space in the first Austin Powers, you know.
Oh, yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
just like no, that's actually there might be some continuity there.
Well, actually, even with Dr. Evil, you do see in the movie before that he shoots himself up into space with Mr. Bigglesworth.
Mm-hmm.
So, kind of, yeah, that same type of idea.
Yeah, it's like, I'll come back years later, that sort of thing. Although that one
Yeah,
was more on purpose, whereas Rocco and his friends were they
you're
were
by
in space because
accident.
it was more of an accident per se. That and also, oh, nipples.
Oh Lord, ah,
Yeah, what was that
flashback.
character? Really, really big man, I think his name is. I love how they
Something
start off
like
with
that,
like
yeah.
a female narrator, like giving a Star Wars like sort of intro of the
And
movie,
then
and
he
the
comes in with the same voice, and you're like, oh, jeez.
and then yeah, really, really big man is like, through the power of nipple vision, I'm gonna send you to
Oh,
present day.
no, it was it? No, it was like, I wasn't it like my hypnotic nipples or something like
Yeah.
that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, oh Lord.
Yeah,
And
this is.
oh God.
Mm-hmm.
Ah.
Yeah. But
Just picturing it again in my head. Oh Lord.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
Uh,
thinking about some of the episodes of Rocco I've seen just for the people. I saw the very first episode. The very first episode is like a classic example of why Rocco is a 90s like show, just in terms of like it was kind of risque for at least the not every episode. Like every episode of course was, really weird and slapsticky and had a lot of satirical humor. But that one
uh-huh.
had like there were a couple things happen in that episode that I'm just like they can't get away with doing today. Like the very
Oh.
first episode is just Rocco and Hef getting like bounced in like basically getting through this carnival, and of course they're tossed and turned around in classic Rocco fashion. And there's a couple things that happen in that episode that I don't think they could do today. Like there's a character that gets off a ride and his thumb falls off and you could see like a bit of like blood spurt up,
Oh.
and one of the rides is it's called something along the lines of like going down to hell. Like they don't say it out loud, but it actually says on the sign. It's kind of like how in that one Hey Arnold episode, Stinky has that bottle of hot sauce and it says the word jackass kicking.
Oh yeah.
So it's just
Yeah,
like they don't
okay.
say it out loud, but it's just like. But most episodes of Rocco, they don't really like sort of had that like sort of risque humor. They are like very like
No,
satirical.
okay. I think I should get into what I knew coming into Static Cling for
Okay.
a moment here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I did know about the show ahead of time a long time ago, just because my brother would play the theme song.
Mm-hmm.
Because he had this thing, he loved listening to like 90s theme songs, especially cartoon theme songs.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew the theme song. Uh, and from the little bit that I did end up finding on the internet, like,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go out of my way to be like, oh, I'm going to research Rocco and say, this is all that I found. No, but like from what I have gotten to see from like, let's say videos covering a whole bunch of different cartoons at once,
Mm-hmm.
the main thing I knew that there was this one thing with Rocco and the Mrs. Loudmouth. Is that what the last name is?
Mrs. Bighead, you mean?
Big Head. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, where Mrs. Big Head kept trying. It was very strongly insinuated that Mrs. Bighead was trying to get with Rocco.
I haven't seen that episode.
I just saw bits and pieces. Well, and I don't even remember what it was, but yeah, you could see her like doing some pretty kind of like weird things, like I don't know. And the funny part was that Rocco was so clueless, he didn't even fall into any of it because he just didn't know what she was trying to do,
Yeah.
type of thing.
Mm-hmm. So, but yeah. So, but in terms of like the Rocco episodes I've seen, I saw the carnival one. I saw the one where he goes to the DMV, and that was really funny. I told you about. I have no son. It's
Oh yeah, I heard
and
about that one too afterwards.
yeah, that's also very close. Like I would say, it's not that they're like the stories like connected, but it has like some of the characters that we see in Static Cling, most notably. Well, we'll get into that as we go on. I'm trying to think because like I've seen like some the one oh my god the one where Rocko goes to the beach.
Oh,
um,
whoa, whoa. What happens in that episode?
Kind of like the carnival episode gets tossed around a lot of really like slapsticky humor. There's actually one scene in the episode. This isn't the entire episode. This is just one scene where
Uh-huh.
he goes to like he has to go to like the nude section of the beach
Oh, no. Why
and
did I see that coming?
and as he's going there like he has to like he takes his trunks off. I think he puts them on his ears. You see like a character kind of break the fourth wall. He's like a sensor guy and puts like a sensor bar over Rocco's um
Oh my
leg
gosh.
and yeah.
Oh, wow.
Mhm. So yeah, I mean, I think I'm trying to get across how like Rocko, it's a very like slapsticky satirical show. And I was saying earlier, I know that some people that worked on Rocko also would go on to do SpongeBob, most notably Steven Hillenburg. God bless him, by the way. And I personally think that the reason I prefer Rocko over SpongeBob is because like I just kind of like the slapstick and especially the satirical angle of like Rocko. That's just my personal preference, though.
And I think I think one of the main things that makes Rocco a lot more like appealing compared to some character like SpongeBob
Mm-hmm.
is that Rocco is kind of in an opposite situation with SpongeBob, in which SpongeBob is kind of like making trouble for other people, but it's kind of okay because he doesn't mean to,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
While Rocco is the poor person who's caught in the middle of everybody else's chaos
Yeah, and I think
and
that's
has
what
to deal
makes
with
the
all
show
of that.
funnier because you have this
Yeah,
character who's just getting like bounced around and tossed around by like society's like quirkiness and things like that.
right.
So I think that's why I found the show a lot funnier. You know?
Yeah, I can agree. I can definitely
Yeah.
agree.
Okay, so let's actually talk about Static Cling, get into it right now. Let's actually start off with the satirical humor. What did you think of the humorous side of Static Cling? Like in terms of the modern satire, because there's quite a lot of it.
Oh, there is. I mean, I think the part that just popped into my head particularly, also I'm kind of scrolling through pictures while we talk, and I guess I keep looking at the dog. What's his name? Like
Spunky,
Spunky,
yeah.
yes. And I can't put my mind off of the part where he keeps ordering mops
Yeah, the
through the
impulse
internet.
buy website, right? Or it was called something like that.
Like, well, did I miss a thing? Because I get it's supposed to be a joke of him like ordering nasty stuff
I
on
took it
the
as
internet, but
it. I think it was more at a slam of at like Amazon, you know.
no, because the guy who's delivering it comes up to us like he's like, here's your 20th order of mops from
Hmm.
like mops blah blah blah.
Hmm.
Oh, you filthy person. Or
Yeah.
something like that, kind
Hmm.
of like, oh Lord. And the way that Spunky looked at the computer while he was looking at mob stuff,
Hmm.
I don't know, man, that looks sketchy. I feel like there's something being insinuated there, but I don't completely get it.
Yeah, I'm not really sure myself, but yeah, I mean, just
Uh,
like Rocco's Modern Life, that's all I could really say.
there you go, mops, guys.
Yep.
Mops.
But yeah, it definitely has a lot of the references that we um saw in like the trailers. Like we see things like Buzzbucks and the O phones.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, there's also instead of YouTube, there's OTube.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also there's a scene where Hef is like looking at a VR headset and it's too intense for him, and Filbert becomes a vlogger named Fishsticks96.
Oh my gosh, yep.
Yeah, I think what I'm trying to get at is I really like how the satirical side, it doesn't come off as like pandering or like, what are the kids into these days? Like there's something about the satirical that just feels like, very like approachable and just, you could just tell that, they're having a genuine, fun time
And
just laughing at all this, stuff.
here's the other thing though, but can we look at the aspect in which we realize that Rocco is kind of in the position of like, like I guess older adults, and that they're having he's having trouble kind of like making sense out of all of it.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that in a bad way at all. I'm saying
No,
that in the
no,
sense of
absolutely
like,
not.
because I don't know, I feel like some people may misinterpret that, but it's more like, okay, instead of making it this person who's like, oh, see, the future's cool, man,
Mm-hmm.
modern technology, blah 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 blah. It's like, no, yeah, it can be hard to assimilate yourself into this kind of society, right?
Right.
Because there's like a whole bunch of chaos. I mean, the internet is just, woo! What won't you find on the internet, you know?
Yeah,
So I
definitely.
think I think it's in a way also that like young audiences can also relate to it, because I mean, to an extent this kind of stuff is new to them as well.
Yeah.
So instead of being like, "Oh, you kids, nobody understands you," blah 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 blah,
Mm-hmm.
it's just like this person is just being overwhelmed with a bunch of new concepts, right? And they're
Mm-hmm.
just struggling to make sense out of it, which is very realistic.
Yeah.
And I really admire that.
Yeah, definitely. Trying to think, I also thought about how I'm pretty sure, especially the animation community, got a kick out of the scene where they were trying to, those two dinosaurs were trying to make like a remake of Rocco's favorite show, which is a very huge part of basically the focal point of the story of Static Cling. The
Yes,
CG
the
version
the,
of the fat
the
heads.
yeah, oh God, that was, oh Lord. Ah.
And yeah, it was like 3D and CG and really ugly and just yeah, thank God it didn't, go anywhere.
Yeah, and I think it was a really good jab at like how some shows are approached nowadays. And don't get me wrong, I don't have a particular example as to what, if anything. I mean, what's that one company that keeps making like bootleg movies? Do you know which one I'm talking about?
Illumination?
No. Illumination making, no, no, no. They make like these off movies that are supposed to look like big blockbusters, but are just completely different. Which they show in like the supermarkets, and it's supposed to be like the grandparents like, oh
Oh,
hey,
those kind of movies like, you would see it like the 99-cent store and that kind of stuff. I
yeah,
see what you mean.
yeah. There's like a particular production house that makes the majority of them. Uh, what was it? Acme Studios, was it?
I don't know myself. I don't really pay attention to those kind of movies.
No, cause like I've seen a lot of YouTubers cover them too,
Mhm.
but it's something like that, and that's pretty much what I assimilated it to when I saw the CGI version of the fatheads.
Mhm. Yeah, but I took it as more it's like kind of how nowadays, how like traditional animation, especially in cinemas is, you know, kind of nice, and it's all being replaced by computers. They even said in the special, it's like, oh no, like, oh, like even like Mrs. Big Head, was like saying, oh, the kids want like their high definition widescreen shows, and I think even like the weren't the conglomerate people were saying, no, people want CG now, and that sort of thing.
Oh my God, yeah, and I can kind of see that, like especially with how big Pixar is gone, and then the CGI realistic remakes of Disney movies. I'm sorry, I'm not a big fan of them.
Yeah, you're not the
Like,
only one.
yeah, like don't get me wrong. I'm not completely against the idea of remakes, and that they can be enjoyable to an extent, but it's like we don't need them. We really don't. I mean, at least not the majority of the ones they have been making. But Another thing also is that like a lot of the good animated shows coming out nowadays, I'm not gonna say all of them obviously because there tends to always be an exception to the rule. Um, but most of them are still like hand drawn 2D animation. You get me?
Yeah.
And more than like 2D, like hand drawn. You get me?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, that's one of the big things people talk about with Steven Universe, you know, and that, you know, they still take the time to storyboard and like illustrate panel by panel. So they say, I'm going to assume they do, because of all of the flaws that people point out in the show. You know, a lot of it is a result of doing it by hand.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we covered quite a bit on the satirical angle, but
Yeah.
I talked to you about this for Gabby. I want you to actually tell us what exactly is the main idea of like what's the sort of plot of
Uh,
Stack. Like, okay, we know that Rocko and his friends are coming back to space, and Rocko's having a tough time adjusting, and we know that he wants to. You say, "Oh, turn on TV. Maybe the fatheads are there," and then of course he can't find
yeah,
them,
because they
and
haven't been airing for like.
mhm. And
Mhm.
also at the same time, like Conglommo, the company that Mr. Bighead works for, is basically going down the tubes, kind of because of Rocco's reentry. And so basically, they're like, oh, if we, bring the fatheads back, then we'll get, money to, it'll, bring Conglommo back, give them a lot of money. And it's also because a lot of the jobs in, in the movie or the world of Rocco's modern life, or they're basically connected to Conglommo in some ways. So basically, if the company
Mhm.
goes under, then like 90% of the jobs in the town also go bye bye.
Oh,
So
right. Yep.
yeah.
So,
So
I mean, I guess you want me to take it from there, yeah?
mm-hmm.
All right. From there, we uh, Ed Bighead and Rocco basically come up with the idea of trying to find um, Ed's up to this point son,
Mm-hmm.
uh, Ralph Bighead, and since Ed himself isn't really kind of up to the task, not that he doesn't, not that he wouldn't want to, but he's got other things that he has to do as far as like keeping Conglommo from like ruining the show before the guy gets there.
Yeah.
He's also kind of like not in good terms with them. You know, Rocco, Heifer, and
Filbert.
Filbert, yes, thank you, get together and on a drone, no less, which I thought was very fitting,
Again.
to
Again.
go around the world looking for Ralph. Surprise, surprise, they drop into a desert. I'm not sure which one because my memory doesn't serve me that well, but they find an ice cream truck. And rather than find Ralph Bighead, they find, oh, geez, I'm going to be honest. The name slips me now. Right when I'm about to say it. Oh,
Rachel.
gosh. Rachel, yes. Instead, they find Rachel Bighead. As in, Ralph is now Rachel. You
Yep.
know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think this was a great twist, because looking at the little bit that I did get to see from the episode I Have No Son,
Mm-hmm.
it seems like Ed and Rachel now
Mm-hmm.
uh, had always had some sort of like uh, kind of like tension whenever they did get to be around each other.
Yeah.
And another thing I noticed is that Rachel tended to seem like there was something missing for her, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So seeing this now, I'm like, this makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention that I was reading an article, I don't remember where, but they were talking about how the main purpose of this special was to focus on the idea of adapting to new things, right?
Right.
So, what better way than having a whole bunch of new technology to adapt to, having a whole method of media making to adapt to, and having to come to the reality that, who you thought was your son the whole time and who you raised as a son and all that is actually was the whole time a girl,
Mm-hmm.
and for them to finally kind of like go out and say, you know what, yeah, I'm a girl. I'm not gonna fake the other part anymore. Like this is me.
Mm-hmm.
Also a very modern thing to really address. Not because the concept of being trans is anything modern, but because it's a subject that's being talked about so much nowadays.
Right.
So it really fits in with the whole idea of Rocko, Heifer, and Filbert getting to figure out what life is like in what now the 21st century.
Yep. I mean, they said
Yep.
present day, 20 years after basically where Rocco left off.
Yep.
Yep. So,
So yeah, it's like it's not going coming out like that is not going to be the same as what it would have been some like 20 years ago.
mm-hmm.
So kudos to them very much.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always liked the dynamic between, Ed Beckhead and now, well, and Rachel.
Rachel.
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, that was why I wanted to see I Have No Son before, because the trailers hinted that we were going to see I mean, well, before we thought we didn't know that about the change. So it's just like, yeah. So I mean, I don't really know what else to say, but it's like if you've seen I Have No Son, I will say the plot, at least in terms of like the sort of dynamic, it is kind of similar, but it's sort of very different context because in that episode, when Rachel was known as a Ralph,
Uh-huh.
Gabby, the problem
Mhm.
was that she really wanted to go into animation, but Ed wanted
Mm.
her to go into like business and work at Conglomero and that sort of thing. So that was why I was saying they. I guess you could say they're kind of similar in that sort of sense, in terms of they're going back to the sort of relationship between Ed and Rachel.
Yeah, and in
Mm-hmm.
the same way they're going into like the idea of a parent's expectation
Mm-hmm.
with their child because I mean it can go that far, about like, oh well, I'm gonna raise a son, blah blah blah, and it's like, whoops, surprise, surprise, Dad, I'm not a boy. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
The same kind of thing, parents grow up with the expectation of like, I'm gonna raise my kid to love computers, and from there they're going to get into coding because you know what, that's like it's so important to know how to code, and you have so many job opportunities with stuff like that. Or I'm gonna raise my kid to be valedictorian, from high school. They're gonna get nothing but 4.0 GPAs and this and that and that, and they're gonna have their like doctorate's degree from Harvard,
That
stuff like that.
Yeah, especially the education side. That's like the story of my life.
Oh heck yeah! I
Because like
mean,
I grew up as like the person who was like more into computers with a bit of an artsy side, whereas my parents were like, "Oh, we want you to be a doctor or maybe a business person because all your cousins are either doctors or lawyers and that sort of a thing."
yeah, and I think for me, since I'd always been, well, two things. One, I'd always been partial to kind of like more masculine things. Most of the stuff I watched was like action stuff. I like to play a little rough, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was always my parents kind of indulged me in my whole tomboyish demeanor, but in a sense, my I remember my dad when I was a kid took it to an extent where he was kind of talking me into like wanting to get into engineering,
Mm-hmm.
as far as to even show me some of the aspects of his own work because he worked as a mechanic and an electrician.
Mm-hmm.
So he would show me how to work. Like he showed me a PLC panel, and I'm here like what 9, 10 years old. I don't really know what the heck's going on. I'm like, oh, computer screen. You know what? I'm gonna put a cute picture on it. Bam! I put like some random like anime kid on it. He's like, what the heck? How did you do that? I'm like, I don't know. I had a picture and I put it there.
I see. Yeah.
So yeah, like yeah, my parents like, oh wow, so she's gonna be like rough and chugging, tough and rugged, like she's gonna fix cars and like I'm here like nah. I like TV and movies to the extent where that's kind of what I want to do, and I'm really lucky, I will say that I've been really given the freedom from my parents to really pursue that. So I need to say that really quick.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest example that I think relates to something like what happened in Rocco's modern life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my family comes from Mexico. Like my parents were raised in Mexico, came over here, and then had me and my brother. And I'm like the only other girl in the house has always been my mom, besides
Mm-hmm.
like off times when my cousin would stay over, stuff like that, but not for a very long time. And when I turned 15, or when I was going to turn 15, my mom was getting so excited. She's like, what are you gonna want for quinceañera? What kind of dress are you gonna want? Blah blah
Mm-hmm.
blah. We're gonna take you to Mexico. We're gonna get all your uncles and aunts, and we're gonna get you so pretty, and we're gonna get you dance lessons and all. I'm here like, I don't want a quinceañera. And to this day, my mom continues to say that I broke her heart that moment when I told her I did not want one.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's like this big thing where the girl gets to be treated like a princess, and you look up, you like girls look forward to it because you're supposed to like dressing up in all pretty, wearing crowns, and all this kind of stuff. And me, I'm like, I don't feel like that. I don't want to feel like that. Like, I appreciate what you're trying to say, but no, that's not me. I'm not into that. So yeah, my mom was kind of upset from that, but they didn't force me to have any. But you gotta admit, it still was probably very difficult for her, like especially when she would say that like her as a kid, my grandpa never let her have one. Um, so she had like this was like kind of like her main opportunity to kind of like go through one, even though it would just be living vicariously through me.
Mm-hmm.
It would be like her chance of like getting to be at a quinceañera more or less for her.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a big thing. And I guess it kind of rolls into the idea where it's like, you can't choose if your kid's gonna be like one way, another, or a mix of the two. It just kind of ends up how it ends up. And I guess you could see Ed in the special kind of like coming to terms with that,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do like how they portrayed Ed in a very like understandable sort of way, and
Hmm.
it kind of ties like it sort of ties with like how Rocco is also having like his own troubles adjusting to change himself. Like remember they had that scene where they're on that rooftop and the winds of change comes.
Oh yeah. That reminded me also of the one thing from Monsters Inc.
Mm-hmm.
You know where oh, what's his name? The one that looks like a lizard.
Randall?
Yes, Randall comes up to Mike and he's like, "Oh, shh, you hear that? That's the winds of change."
Mm-hmm.
And that was like the main thing I thought of when I heard that, but I thought it was hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, with the cloud. It was pretty much doing the same thing if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. So, but yeah, I
Oh,
definitely agree that that was also done pretty well. In
it
Static
was.
Cling, yeah. I
It
will
was.
say, in terms of like any kind of flaws I had with Static Cling, it's really like very like personal taste sort of things. I feel like I'm being a little nitpicky. Is that I felt like the sort of resolutions I had a kind of a similar problem with I Have No Son, but I think that's it's personal preference, and that I kind of felt the resolutions came a little quick, if you will. I mean, I do like the climax. I especially like how Rachel goes and makes the Fatheads cartoons in
Yeah.
her ice cream truck, no less.
Right. Yep. I thought that was perfect.
Yeah,
What I will say. Whoops. Sorry. I am back.
it's
I
okay. You didn't
accidentally
drop.
pressed the
That's good.
mute.
That's the important thing.
Yeah. No. I accidentally pressed the mute button trying to fix my mic.
Yeah, but go ahead.
Whoops. Uh. Oh. Where?
Ice cream truck.
Lord. Ice
Rachel
cream truck.
goes back to making
Rachel.
big heads. I mean, fat heads.
But shoot. Shoot. No. Wait. Hold on.
She looks at the picture.
Man, I'm drawing a freaking blank right there. I'm so sorry. I completely forgot what I
Let
was
me
gonna say.
let me help you get your memory back, Abby. So okay, so initially Ed rejects the idea of like making the fat heads again. It
Uh-huh.
looks like they're giving up. Rachel's driving away in her ice cream
Oh,
truck,
okay.
and
Okay.
she looks at the picture and is basically like, okay, I'm gonna go back to making in the show I used to make.
Yeah, and you were saying that was a little too fast for you.
I think that's personal taste, though. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like there's something that you there. I guess I'm just, yeah, I don't know. I'm just like,
And it's the sad thing because like probably it would have been a lot better if they could spend more time dealing in like how Ed comes to that resolution. But the sad thing is, we only have so much time,
yeah.
and you gotta think,
It is still
yeah,
a sweet scene though when she's looking at the picture and gives that smile and is like, okay, I'm gonna go back to making my show.
yeah,
Yeah.
and oh man, I was just really taken aback,
Hmm.
and I love how in the end. Ed basically comes to Rocco and gives him the lesson of, you know what? It's okay, you can get used to new stuff. Just because it's new doesn't mean it's bad.
Hmm.
Stuff like that. And I thought that was really cool.
And he even said that there's even things in the past that you can be grateful for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like it's okay to be grateful, but you can't like mull over it.
Hmm.
And I think it's great because it really honed in on like that period of time when there was so much flack over like companies ruining like old shows,
Hmm.
And I mean, I know you and I we've thrown as like jabs at Teen Titans Go, but ultimately we come to the understanding, you know what, they're doing this by choice.
Yeah. Hmm.
And I think that's an important thing to keep in mind because I've seen some people get so butthurt
Hmm.
over these kinds of things. It's like, man, it's a TV show.
Yeah,
Like,
same
yeah, I
here.
know, I know you love the TV show. I love the TV show. It's why we should be happy it's coming back.
Yeah, I
Not,
mean, I've told you before, even to like, even as of fairly recently, I still get, comments from people that hate the former president of Nickelodeon, you know?
Oh yeah. Like there's some grudges, man. There's some grudges,
Hmm.
and I think the people behind this special really had a good idea of like how to address it from their perspective.
Especially, yeah, I think they did that with the baby big head character, or I get them confused. God,
Yes, yes,
the
yes. Because
baby
Rocco's
fat
like,
head.
no, what? No, they don't have a baby.
Hmm.
What? He's new. I don't like him.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I that just basically reminded me of like how people were talking about uh Teen Titans Go, and even worse when the show wasn't even out yet. I don't think the show is out yet, but when they were just announcing Thundercats Roar, oh dear Lord, did all hell break loose.
Mainly because of the animation style, right?
I mean, yeah, but that was the only thing you had to base the whole thing off of.
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
jeez,
Hmm.
let the show come out first,
Yeah.
man.
Hmm.
Like, okay, be wary, but don't like give it flag before it's even out.
Hmm.
Unless it's like Cat's bad. But I mean that's something
We don't
completely
talk about the
different.
Cats movie on this.
And even with the Cats movie, like I have a friend who's like, you know what? I mean, they look just as weird in the musical. I beg to
Hmm.
disagree, but I'll give her that. And it's like, yeah, you know what? I don't know how comfortable I feel with it, but I would still give the film a try. And
Yeah.
you know, that's the kind of mentality you have to go in with. That
Hmm.
really is because otherwise, you know, you're just gonna have a bad time.
Yeah, I think, I mean, just on top of you know, people should judge movies, you know, on their own, not just in terms of. You see, I guess it's kind of like how, you know, when I started the stream, I was talking about, you know, the Disney live action remakes before you came on, and I
Mhm.
brought up the Beauty and the Beast remake, and I know there's people in the animation community who hate that new remake, and I was like, I mean, the tone's kind of inconsistent and it's not as memorable as the original, but I thought it was harmless.
And here's the thing, at least it was trying to do something in my perspective,
Hmm.
because like, okay, Cinderella, meh, it was literally just glammed up.
Hmm.
Alice in Wonderland was just kind of good, because meh, but it was its own thing. Dumbo, I don't know what to think about Dumbo. I didn't even watch it. I heard it was either good or just not very memorable.
I've heard people say the Tim Burton one is just meh. Like, it
Yeah,
didn't even
yeah.
do that good at the box office.
Yeah, like I more than anything watched the original Dumbo with my boyfriend. But with Beauty and the Beast, I think this is one of the main movies I heard a lot of good stuff of. I
Hmm.
actually even had the chance to watch it in theaters for myself, and I do agree with a lot of these comments. Like, they did fix a lot of loopholes in the original story.
Hmm.
Good. They got into the whole deal with the servants a little more. Good. Yeah. Um, and there's the whole thing with LeFou. Like, I thought that was bold. I, yeah, maybe just kind of like a marketing thing, but I mean, hey, it worked. I mean, it still managed to get into other places' skins where they wouldn't even show the movie because even though it wasn't even that blatant, just because they were saying and they were confirming it, they're like, oh no, we don't want to show that. This is for children. We're not going to show children a guy can possibly have a romantic attraction to another guy. No. Like, oh, okay, man, go have your knickers in a twist. But the point being, the movie was actually trying to do something with itself. So I have a bit of respect for it in that sense.
Yeah. Although, I think, like my flaws, not to go off on a tangent on the
Oh
Beauty
no
and the
no no!
Beast remake,
Obviously, it had flaws.
but yeah, but I think, like, some of the flaw, like I said, I thought the tone was inconsistent at times, especially when it got really cartoony. And I thought the scene, you know, where they kind of delve into like Belle's mother, you know, that scene where they kind of go back in time and they're in Paris, and I was like, is this even necessary?
That's true. Like, if I feel like more than it not being necessary,
Mm-hmm.
they were just trying to push it in when there was really no time for it.
Yeah.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
but my basic point was I didn't really see that remake as like as bad as like a lot of people like say. I don't even think it was like a bad movie per se, you know.
It was just meh for me. Like it was eh. You know which one I really did like was the live action remake that I actually was really stoked to see. I had a great time watching in the movies, and I even got to see it with my bro, Pete's Dragon.
Yeah, and I think Pete's Dragon, that's like the one where like a decent amount of people said, yeah, that one is actually good. I haven't seen it for myself, but I know there's people who generally don't like the Disney live action remakes. They'll point to the Pete's Dragon remake and say, yeah, that one was actually pretty good.
Yeah, yeah, and I will have to admit I haven't seen the original, but from what I can tell, they did a good job at working with the original material.
I see. I mean, I haven't
So,
seen it myself, but I've heard some good, especially, compared to, a lot of people who are like, the Lion King remake,
I mean, I just heard about the changes that they made in the Lion King remake, and I'm like, no,
hmm
no. Anyway.
yeah, so, but I'd have to see it for myself to, I still kind of want to give it a chance, even though I know there's a lot of people who really, really don't like the Lion King remake, but
I think the only interest I have in watching the Lion King remake is to see it for myself
yeah, same here.
and to see if what they're saying is true or not. Not necessarily be like, oh, it could still work. Like, no, no. I more want to see if like some of it was just exaggerated.
Yeah, I'm a person who is like a really big fan. Like, The Lion King was like my favorite Disney Renaissance movie growing up, and I don't know. I look at the I'm
I
just
can
like,
agree.
and I'm just look at the remake, and I'm just like, well, that looks unnecessary, you know.
Yeah, I used to like low key. I used to be really into it. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I wasn't like obsessed with
Mm-hmm.
it, but I did manage to find like a lot of information on it as a kid, especially when the internet came about.
Yeah.
Um, but even as a really little kid, I remember I used to have like a little plush Nala, and the funny thing about the little plush is that it actually squeaked like a dog toy.
Yeah.
So I would go around with it everywhere, just squeaking it like at random places, just like, like, yep, this is where I'm gonna make a squeaky sound now, guys. And
Okay.
that also included church, by the way. So yeah, imagine in the middle of a sermon, just kind of like, just like a random dog toy going off in the back.
I see. Yeah.
But
I
uh-huh.
actually used to have this like not Mufasa. It was like a toy of grown up Simba. And when you would squeeze the one of his paws, he would sort of talk, and he would also he'd like to roar. Like it would be the kind of thing where you squeak once, and he says the thing like, I think he said something like, oh hi, I'm Simba, blah 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 blah, and he would roar, and then he would just like randomly roar, and I'm just like, the fuck, yeah.
Oh wow. At least it wasn't like the mishap with the Tarzan action figure.
What happened with that?
You haven't seen what the Tarzan action figures looked like?
No, I've been living under a rock. What happened?
Okay, you know how he's supposed to do the thing where he bangs his chest?
I associate Tarzan more with his, oh,
Yeah, that's right, with the banging his chest.
yeah.
They couldn't quite make it open close,
Mm-hmm.
so instead they do up and down, making the arm go a little lower than his chest.
Oh, I see pictures. It looks like his hand is like right over his.
Yep, and then it goes up and down, up and down, up and down.
Yeah.
Also, they just decided to do the one arm,
Mm-hmm.
like not both, but one,
Mm-hmm.
which made it so kind of like explicit. You're just like, what? Who saw this and thought, yeah, no, that's okay.
I don't know. Just
Oh, I still laugh looking at it to this day. Like,
I see what you mean. I
funny.
seriously can't believe like I've never heard of this until now.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like me and my bro, we used to like love looking at like vintage toys, and that was like a very infamous one that would always pop out as far as like inappropriate ones that just seem to pass through the pass under the radars.
Yeah, I see what you mean. But no, oh
Uh,
my God, we're turning this into a Disney discussion. But
well, I mean, like it's just kind of like a throwback to things from the
yeah, no,
past,
don't
I
worry
guess.
about it. I was talking about Disney quite a bit, before you jumped in. So, but yeah,
Yeah,
but getting back to Rocco, in the end, Rocco's Modern Life Static Cling, definitely liked it. I think it was a little fast paced at parts, but I thought overall, it was a very funny movie. I liked how it tackled, occult characters that are having a bit of time trying to adjust to living in the present, especially since things have changed. And just
hmm
yeah, it's basically, if you're a Rocco fan, I highly recommend it. Gabby, I as a person who's hasn't seen much of Rocco, what did you think?
I loved it. Like I really really enjoyed it. I will also say I wasn't even intending on really looking at it, particularly because I had not looked into the to the show. I'm also seeing there are apparently comics, so I'm probably going to get into that now.
Mm,
But yeah, and the only reason I even really ended up watching it as soon as I did was because my boyfriend just out of the blue, we were there at his place, and he's like, you know what, we're going to put something on Netflix. And he's like, here we go.
mm-hmm.
And he just clicks on Static Cling, like, yes, we're watching this.
Yeah.
Uh, I have no idea if he's seen Rocko's Modern Life before, but he was kind of hyping it up, so I was pretty excited myself,
Mm-hmm.
and I was not disappointed at all.
Yeah, I
So,
definitely highly recommend, watching the original show. I actually bought several episodes from iTunes. Yep.
oh
hmm
man,
But I definitely knew I really wanted to cover this movie back when we heard that Nickelodeon was coming out with a Hey Arnold movie, a Zim movie, and a Rocco movie. And, especially, I think like you, we were most familiar with Hey Arnold and Zim, but we knew about Rocco in passing, and I just figured, we checked it. I know you weren't around for when I did trailer reactions because I wasn't sure if you saw Rocco all that much. But
oh
yeah,
yeah, I
but
think I do remember you covering it.
yeah. So yeah, but yeah, definitely glad we saw it. It was definitely a lot of fun. I'm curious to see, if they are gonna do more with Rocco and Zim, from here.
I feel like anything, this is just going to be push them more to like keep the comics going for both of them because it looks like there are a few issues of Rocco's Modern Life. And even before Enter the Florpus came in, there were so many volumes of the Invader Zim comics.
Yeah.
So, ready for more, I
Yeah,
guess.
it was
Woo!
even to the point where that comic you showed me, was it that Enter the Florpus even took some inspiration from that comic? Because you showed me a panel where Zim was like, "Look, I'm switching people's mail," like
Oh, yeah,
just
yeah,
like
yeah.
that scene.
The whole first few pages, like, I'm like, yo, yeah, I saw this in the comic already. And you was like, what?
hmm But
You know,
but what about the movie as a whole? Was the movie as a whole like something you could have found in the comic, or?
no, it's not going to go the same way as the comic at all. Because, like, right off the bat in the next volume,
hmm
uh, they start going on a completely different tangent. Like,
hmm
they're off looking for this other thing, trying to get Dib embarrassed because the whole universe saw him. I don't remember what.
Do
I think,
something embarrassing?
yeah, but like really, really embarrassing. Like taking a dookie in front of a camera type embarrassing.
Ooh, I see.
So yeah, it takes a
hmm
whole different tangent from the film, from the special right then and there.
I see. Yeah, good, because I was like worried. Oh no, it's something I should have pointed out when we did trailer reactions for Zim.
Oh no.
Okay, well,
I think more than anything, the beginning of the comic just gave such a good storyboard as to how to bring the characters back in.
mm-hmm.
You get me? Like how to reintroduce them.
Yeah, I see.
So, yeah.
Okay. And speaking of Zim, I think I may as well talk more about like conventions that both you, me, and Penny are thinking of going to. So I did say that earlier in the stream that I am going down to D23 on Sunday. And I know there's not going to be much to do, but I want to see at least see if I could meet with like some cosplayers. Rebecca Gibson, I know is going to be there.
Oh wow.
Yep. And I also want to see maybe if they have like some merch that I may want to take a look at. I mean, it'll be my first D23. I missed out on it 2 years ago. I remember my friend who was my multimedia editor at the time at the newspaper I worked at was like, well, you're missing out. Look at that. I found a Star and Tom cosplayer. You're missing out.
Oh wow.
Yeah, she sent me the picture and I was like, oh.
Oh geez.
So yeah, so I'll be going there, making a video. I'm gonna try to see if I could rent this Nikon camera I keep talking about on my channel for if my people who used to watch my really terrible camera videos. It was the Nikon Z6 camera that me and Gabby checked out a while back. I'll see if I could rent it because I wanted to cover D23 and also Long Beach Comic Con, which, speaking of Zim...
Oh, heck yeah.
Richard Horvitz, Melissa Fawn, and Ricky Simons are doing a panel at Long Beach Comic Con.
Oh, we're certainly gonna try to be there.
Mm-hmm.
If not actually be there.
Yeah. And, speaking of D23, Marco Diaz's actor from Star vs. Force of Evil, Adam MacArthur, said he'll be there. I'm gonna try to see if we can do an interview with him. I mean, I'm on good terms with Adam. Like he knows me in the sense that, he could like recognize me in a crowd. So,
Aww.
yeah. So we've been coming up with questions behind the scenes. I said before, this time, I didn't really turn to Twitter because just in case we couldn't find Adam, I didn't want to like disappoint everybody and that sort of thing. But we've been like preparing with like questions for both Adam as well as the Zim crew. We tried to schedule an interview with the Zim crew using, I think it was Long Beach Comic Con's PR company, and basically they said we can sign up for press passes, but if we want to interview the Zim crew, we're gonna have to like go meet them at like their booths, like what we did with Ricky in the past.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. But I'm sure that panel's still gonna be fun. I'm pretty sure you're gonna have fans saying, peace is nice. Peace is nice. Peace is better than. Yeah. Oh my god. I'm really ready to like at least tell Ricky we love that scene. That is so funny.
Oh my gosh.
Did I mention I actually rewatched Enter the Florpus this time with my sister Penny, and she loved Enter the Florpus. I don't know if I told you this before, Gabby, but Wait, I did tell you this before, but Penny really likes Gaz. Like, just...
yeah, I'm not surprised at all. Like, I from the moment I made the connection, it's like, oh yeah, this is totally up Penny's alley.
Mm-hmm.
Like, especially looking at what you did with Miga. I'm like, yup, mm-hmm.
Yeah, Miga the Vancouver mascot. Yeah, somehow she turned this, like, really, this fun-loving bear from Vancouver that can turn into a whale and really likes surfing and snowboarding into basically this maple syrup alcoholic that really hates me for some reason.
Oh my gosh.
In fact, what did you think of Static Queen, Miga? She just hits me. Yeah, we even came up with this like weird idea. What if she's like walking around like the roads at night and stopping cars and asking them for food, like as if she's pretending she's hungry?
I could totally see that.
Yeah. So sorry to the IOC. Please don't come after me. Yeah.
Oh.
So, but yeah, we talked about Static Wing and even beyond that. So, yep, definitely recommend it. Definitely go watch it on Netflix.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Heck, I kind of want to watch it. Heck, now I want to watch Rocko's Modern Life and Invader Zim. Like,
yeah. I know that you can watch all the episodes of Zim on Hulu. I can't find Rocko on... Let me actually, though, I don't think you could find the episodes on Netflix. I know you could obviously watch the movie on Netflix, but I don't know about the show itself. Way to go, Netflix. Just saying.
Oh yeah. There's gotta be somewhere we can watch it.
Mm-hmm. Because I know a lot of people aren't going to be down with buying every single episode from like Google Play or iTunes.
I mean, when push comes to shove, man, I
Yeah.
know, you know.
Although I'm sure Rocko diehards are gonna. I think you could like buy the episodes from like the Shout Factory or something because I saw their ad a while back.
You know where it might possibly be? I think I
Where?
even remember them promoting it. Verve. Verve. Have you ever heard of Verve? Also not sponsored, guys, please. Heck, let me try. Let me try looking for it just for giggles.
All right, because I
'Cause
can't find the Rocko episodes on either Netflix or Hulu.
Yup. Bruv, they have it. Yup.
Where?
They have Rocko's Modern Life on Verve, VRV.
Oh, I see what you. I'm not. I
Yeah.
don't really use Verve. Is it like the kind of thing where you could just watch the like episodes for free?
It is an actual, it is a legitimate streaming service. So depending on what you look to watch, they will have a few things you can watch without
Subscription?
without a subscription, but it's gonna be very limited. If you want to use it, well, you need to really have a subscription, which I don't think it's that expensive. Let me see. It is $9.99 plus tax per month. It's
Mm-hmm.
about the same as any other streaming service.
Yeah. See, so there you go, option there. So,
Oh yeah.
and the battle of the streaming
Ah, heck,
services.
they even have Chalk Zone. They have Chalk Zone. Do
Cool.
you remember Chalk Zone?
I've heard of it, but I never got to see the show.
Oh my gosh, they used to be like one of my favorite shows as a kid.
Cool. So, yeah, so there you go for the people watching. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so I think we'll end it off here. Gabby, talk quite a bit.
Sounds good.
Yep, about Rocco's. So, I'll say for the people watching, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Please follow me on my social media pages. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, and Snapchat. I'm very close to hitting 300 followers on Twitter. I know I don't usually like to tell people, please come on over, but yeah.
Aw.
So yeah, so please follow me on my social media pages. And yeah, so
Yeah.
and thanks Javi for leaving comments, and I'm looking forward to reading even more comments after the stream is finished. So thanks Gabby for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Mhm. Yep. So looking forward to what we'll be able to do at Long Beach Comic Con, and hopefully we'll both be able to go. So until next time, we'll see you all later.
Bye.
Bye.